I guess we'll go over to Twitter and we'll say, I'm live on YouTube. Come hang out. That's how a professional does it. Boom. X posted. Now, what do we do next? Now we got to find the chat because we haven't done that yet. It's going to be a bit of a loosey-goosey stream. But I got to wait and see if anybody's going to show up first, I guess. I actually wonder if the title of the stream is going to lead to some kind of algorithmic censorship. Keep or get rid of Pierre. Marco Peruzzo, I couldn't care at this point. I just don't even have an opinion. What the conservatives are doing, spinning this yarn that they have concocted some kind of great Machiavellian scheme to put the liberals on the spot and make them produce energy projects. And if they don't, they'll be held accountable by the voter, is such a fraudulent narrative. It will never happen. The eastern part of this country does not vote for energy projects in the West. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about energy in the West. And the sacrifice is provincial autonomy loses again. And the federal government concentrates more power in its hands. And the Conservative Party of Canada helped the Liberals do it. Regardless of all the spin that you're seeing out there, it actually makes me sick the way this is being spun as some kind of conservative victory, that they look strong here. What was it Andrew Scheer said? We'll see. Was it we'll see or was it we'll see, I guess? Just weak sauce. People were sent to Ottawa to oppose the Liberal agenda, not empower them. Some people say, and this might be accurate, that the only reason Poilievre voted for, or I should say Poilievre CPC voted for this thing, because Poilievre's not even in the House, was so that they could inherit the power later on down the road when they assume government, if that ever happens. Because if they keep enabling the Liberal agenda, their support is only going to get softer. And if you look at the recent polling from multiple different polling houses, CPC support is tanking. This might be one of the reasons why. Hello, D73. Hello, Natasha. Did you get a haircut? Well, it looks like it, unless it just spontaneously got short. I think it's a little bit shorter. It feels good when you lay on a pillow and you don't have a ponytail all bunched up behind your head or hair all in your face or up in your grill. But if I'm honest, I'm starting to miss it already, so who knows? Maybe I grow it back. But for now, it's short. Hi, Frank. Heard about the USA? Yeah, that's the other great, wonderful thing that's happening. The Americans just went and bombed Iran, so it's on. What was it? 30,000-pound bombs dropped all over Fort Furdo, and not just there. It was. Hang on. Let me just. It was Furdo, and oh my God, look at that. Well, let's see. How can I get this on screen for you guys? Do this. That didn't work. Everything's going to be looking... I just lost my mouse. That's fantastic. Now I have to get this image over here where you guys can see it and get my big meat head out of the way. It's like a new sunrise. This is the first visual confirmation of the American operation announced by President Trump, who declared a direct hit on Fordo using bunker-busting munitions. Sources believe the video was taken just moments after impact. Tehran remains silent. The world holds its breath. Let's just see this video. My God. You know, I don't want to be dramatic, but that footage reminds me of Trinity, actually, the first atomic bomb that went off. It was outstanding, eh? Let me see. Let's check the chat. Job and information. Yeah. Gabriella says, thank you for the great job and information. I don't know. I do what I do. I don't know if it does any good, because I'll tell you that it's narratives. People want narratives. They want stories. They want tales of fantasy. They want to be told that things are going to be okay if they just trust the plan and they follow along. And they want to believe, because politics is treated like team sport, they want to believe that everything the Conservative Party does is some kind of brilliant tactic, some kind of brilliant move, and it serves the common good. Really, all it does is it's a lockdown. It's another type of lockdown that they're engaged in. Them and the Liberal Party. They're locking the provinces into the Federation. They're going to make it harder, not just for us to leave, but to assert our autonomy. Everything that Saskatchewan has been doing for the last number of years in terms of claiming provincial autonomy and jurisdiction from the federal government is going to be that much more difficult to do, if not impossible to do. And the trade is, we're supposed to be getting some energy projects out of the deal. And the idea is that if we don't get the energy projects, as I've said, the Liberal government will be held accountable by some magical mechanism of the voters, which hasn't even materialized in the last 10 years. It doesn't even make sense. As a narrative, it doesn't even make sense. Mike TWV Dub, howdy, Frank and chat. The Pie Man, we wait and see what Trump says in less than 1 hour. Yeah, it's at this point, does it matter what he says? Because from here, events kind of move out of his control. How long have they been bombing the Houthis in Yemen? And they're still quite active, giving media statements, doing their thing, firing missiles. All of the American might. I believe it was two carrier groups. One was backup and one was only active, bombing the hell out of them. They managed to get them to stop shooting transport tonnage through the Red Sea. But Iran is this huge, massive place. They have well-established relationships with their neighbors, Pakistan, China, and Russia. Now, Russia seems to be indicating that they are not going to be arming Iran. But China's been doing the opposite. Their transport planes have been landing in Iran this entire time. And I don't know if people picked it up the other day, but Putin gave an address, and he reminded people that there are millions, I think it's 1.5 million Israelis. Israelis is a regional power. So Russia may sit this one out, but that doesn't mean the rest of East Asia will. Pieman says we wait and see what Trump says in 1 hour. I 100% apologize to all the people I ever argued with in favor of Trump. Margot, good to see you, by the way. It was worth a shot. In some ways, it's still worth a shot. But it doesn't look good right now. Like Iran. His critics are writing these kinds of articles that he deserves a peace prize for bombing Iran. I didn't think it could get more peak. And forgive me as I have a sip. I'm actually having a beer with you as we go. I didn't think it could get more peak than Obama winning the Nobel Peace Prize for delivering a speech. There is no opposition. The world is a stage. Yeah, I mean, it seems like all of our hopes and dreams are just sort of fading right now. Thank you for Nanaimo, from Nanaimo, Vancouver Island. You have a great show. Thank you, Gail. I'm sure there's people who would disagree with you, but there is a cohort that strongly believe that there's value in what I'm doing, so I thank you for that. Sam Cooper as well. Yeah, Sam's awesome. Love you, Frank, from Cat Hewitt. Love you, too. Pierre's CPC is idling. They're doing worse than idling, bro. Pie Man. They're enabling. They're absolutely enabling the Liberal Party of Canada to cling to their narratives that they just want to hear that it's part of some Machiavellian plan. And the chat just jumped out of control. Why does it do that? Seriously, if not for Trump, we would have had Kamala. What is better? I don't know. I don't know if either one of them's better. I mean, it remains to be seen. The jury's still out. Yeah, I mean, he's kicking out some illegal immigration. There's some domestic policies that are looking good. He certainly brought the spotlight on Canada for fentanyl, and those things, actually, the Liberal government seems to be moving on them to try and make them better. So, I mean, if we go down, just like we did during the Canadian election, if we go point by point down the list of things that might have gotten better under a Conservative government, there are favorables there that many people actually argued with me didn't exist. Things like crime and such as that would get better. It's the same with Trump. The problem is there's so much that he campaigned on that he's not doing. War being one thing, at the beck and call of Israel. Another thing would be record deficits and federal debt and doing nothing about it. Having the entire Doge thing go down and not having any of it really solidly codified. They haven't solved the problem. They haven't really reduced spending. There's a lot of failure. If we're honest, we have to point that out. The president of peace, says Mike T. LOL. We all fell for it. I think he might have wanted it that way, but he's certainly, the neocons are running things. The deep state is running things. All of the things that he talked about getting away from are in charge in the United States, and that's clear. Those bombs made it clear. Hope you feel better, Frank. The lungs feel much better. Actually, today was the first day. Yeah, last night was actually brutal. I was hacking, coughing all night long. But today has been really good. So I think whatever it was, I think it was a dust-borne bacterial lung infection, bronchitis, something like that. It was pretty severe for a while, but there was a lot of dust. There was a lot of smoke. My understanding is this bacteria floats around on the dust. It gets in there. It can get lodged. So, but I'm feeling much better on that front, getting back to being a human. We're in a very bad place. Yes, Acorn injury. We are. There's a lot of unpredictability right now. I never even thought that I'm going to be competing with every single news network right now because of this bombing. I don't care. If there's 12 people in here, we'll run with it. Will this incident fracture MAGA? I don't know. People like their myths. People like the MAGA myth. I don't know if it'll be enough. It'll certainly peel off a certain cohort of MAGA. It will certainly endanger it going into the midterms. But again, what's the alternative? Critical brought up a good point, whether it was Trump or Kamala, what's the alternative? There really isn't an alternative. There really isn't an opposition. With Kamala, we probably would have been doing this stuff a little bit sooner. With Trump, at least we got a bit of time. We got to get through the winter. Nuclear winter's probably easier to survive in the summertime, if it came to that. Sunshine. Critical thinker, great to see. There's no reason for them to delay anymore. If they actually exist, then they'll strike. Because the diplomatic option ended tonight. So if they've got it, we'll find out. And maybe it doesn't exist. Not that site. The video's from 1 year ago. Was the video from 1 year ago? Are you sure about that? I don't think so. That was attached to. Hang on. Let me bring it back up for a second. Article published June 25th on JFeed. JFeed's usually pretty darn good. I think that's actually video of the bombing. So, if that's wrong, that's wrong. But JFeed is in my looking around for a live feed that was good to follow. JFeed pretty much came right to the top. I mean, if Kamala is in, Pierre may have gotten an easier time. Maybe. But I mean, here's another thing to look at. If Pierre had won, would he not have been introducing a bill very similar to C-5? How does the federal government, and this is the other angle of it, C-5 is an attempt to claim provincial jurisdiction from the provinces and give it to the federal government. What's this really about? It's about Quebec. Quebec opposes any sensible effort to bring resources from Quebec, but also from the rest of the country to market. It's to their advantage to keep Canada behind. And so that's what they do. So this claim of power might be just about Quebec, but in order not to offend Quebec, we have to take it away from everybody else. It's not fair. It's not necessary. There's also the indigenous aspect of this thing, which gives the chiefs more power, not the people. Not the people who have to live on the reserve. I'm so sick of seeing band chiefs. You never see a CBC News reporter or politician go to the reserve and start interviewing people on the street. You never see them filming the conditions and then asking why the chiefs haven't done anything about it in spite. And why is that? And we know why that is. It's a great big farce, is what it is. Frank Vaughn, you're having a beer. I'm having a glass of red wine. GTSY. I don't know what that acronym actually means. I've made it all this way in my life, and I don't know what that acronym means. Curious what Steve Bannon will have to say about this development. Steve's already spoken. He spoke yesterday. He said this weekend there would be fireworks and they'd be very big. So he seems to have shrugged his shoulders and accepted the fact that war with Iran is happening. Hi, Frank. Stream is lagging and choppy, repeating at times. Is anybody else experiencing that? Can you weigh in on how things are going here? Canada has left the building. Yeah, Canada was never really in the building. It's a long story of... Blanchett's right. It's not a real nation. But they're going to try and make it into a real nation. It'll be a totalitarian nation when they're done. Eye roll. We're going to have to listen to CBC drone on and on about Trump even more. Yeah, but they... maybe some of it will be celebratory. Holy snap, I just noticed too. Not sure what you noticed, Lady Allen, but President Trump's poised to be making a speech shortly. Yeah, he is. The live reports from the White House say that no less than 33 of their bunker busters were dropped on one of the 3 cities hit. 33, that's a cool number. Canadian Prepper did an update 30 minutes ago. Iran will retaliate. If they can, they will. Yeah, bye-bye USS Nimitz. Boy, I wouldn't want to be a sailor on that ship. You're just about to be decommissioned. The media has been in a frenzy telling everybody that it's been deployed. Seems like a big red flag to me. Hit the like, folks. It helps Frank out a ton. He is not monetized. You're right. I'm not. I don't get any help from YouTube. I just get help from you people. And there's no sponsorships. There's no endorsements. There's nothing. There's just me, the camera, and you. And as much as people in my life continue to pound good arguments for why I should change that, I still prove rather resilient in my resistance. How many Iranian refugees are we going to take? How many members of the Royal Islamic Guard? Why not all of them? They're a terrorist network identified here in Canada by our federal government as terrorists. And as I highlighted in a couple videos ago, we awarded 6 contracts to the Iranian government, paid for with Canadian tax dollars, for things that we wanted them to do, even though they're recognized. This is another thing, a theme that I've been trying to make over and over and over again in my videos, is that we don't actually have the rule of law in Canada anymore. We've lost it. Law is selectively applied wherever it is politically expedient to apply it. The highest law in the land, the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, can be suspended, and the government can be found to have done a horrible wrong to the people in the suspension of the charter, guilty, in other words, and face 0 penalties and no accountability. That government is still in power today. Many of those same cabinet ministers are sitting in Carney's cabinet. The people who suspended the highest law in the land wrongly, culpably. We don't have the rule of law. And I feel like that's too big for most people to grasp. So they cling to narratives. They don't like it. I think it's one of the reasons we kind of sit in this channel in a little bit of isolation in the space, because it's too big. It's too big a nightmare. And nobody wants to wake up to it, to the reality of it. Watch your future here. The agenda, their vision, your future. Intelligent, well-researched, well worth 2 hours of your life. It's on YouTube. Take your word for it. Hey, Frank, cheers from northern BC. The forest industry is being decimated, and it looks like the forest here is going to get a long break. Sound okay. Video freezes time to time. No biggie. I wonder why. We should have plenty of bandwidth. I don't have any explanation for that. Keep your eye on it. Let me know if it gets bad. Corey Morgan filmed the reservations in Alberta showing the conditions. Now the Indians are taking him to court for trespassing. Yeah. Probably not the Indians. Probably the chiefs. They don't want you to know. A lot of these people are driving around in Cadillac Escalades, living in the best of houses while their people are living in squalor. This country sucks, folks. This is what I keep droning on about in my videos. It's a terrible construct. I don't understand the dedication to it. I understand loving the land. I understand loving your neighbor. I understand loving your community. I understand loving the people around you. I don't understand love of the flag or love of the system or love of the Westminster government and all the things that descend from that. If you love the land and you love the people, you should want to reject those things and build better. And if you can't build better, and we can't, through Canada, because we can't, the vast majority of this country does not want to build better. Western Canada does. Western Canada has to consider all options. We got to start talking like Quebec. We got to start promoting our provincial autonomy, the very provincial autonomy that the Conservatives just helped the Liberals take away in Bill C-5. And at least to a degree, Smith and Moe seem to be open to. It's a bad deal, guys. They're promising us energy development and projects, vague promises. But before we get anything out of them, we have to surrender provincial power to them. So they're giving us nothing up front. We have to surrender everything up front. And then they can change their mind. They can change the law. They can change their approach. And we are left without recourse. And we've just lost more of our sovereignty. It sucks, man. It's terrible. I don't know why more people aren't telling the story. Not dying in another war, choppy connection, intermittent, but it's holding. Why is it sucking? Let's, can we change the frame rate in the middle of the stream? Can we change the resolution in the middle of the stream? What'll happen? That's not letting me do it. We should have plenty. I mean, I got Starlink. Maybe that's why. Jamming. Yes, you are repeating. Man, why? Sound okay. Video freezes time to time. No biggie. Yeah, agree that Pierre may have Ronnie B. By. Agree that Pierre may have introduced a very similar bill akin to C-5. He said as much during their campaign, especially with the Canadian Shield being used to fast-track mineral resources. It was one of my fears, even during the election, that anything that he did would be a claim on provincial jurisdiction once he got in office. But to me, it was a risk worth taking because of the other things that were on the table, and you knew the Liberals under Carney were going to be really bad. That was guaranteed. That all the elbows up nonsense and this idea that we're done with the United States was fake news from the beginning. And you knew that he was going to solidify Chinese access to our markets. He's going to solidify EU's access to our markets. It's all about making Canada exploitable for everybody else, and that includes Donald Trump. So we knew that whatever he did, that's the direction he was going to go. So even if Pierre comes into office and he does something similar, we might get some positives in other arenas, but we're still fighting the same battle, right? Like I said in my coverage, I'm like, I'm going to vote for this guy, but my hope, my aspirations, and what I want to work with and work towards is through the provinces, through the provincial legislators, through the provincial governments, hoping that they would get it. That remains true under Carney or under Pierre, and since they're voting together, what difference does it make? I appreciate you not taking monetization. It keeps you genuine. I think there's other genuine people that are monetized. And monetization doesn't mean making money. It generally just means YouTube giving you more reach. And you can turn off a lot of the ads. Like I've had it explained to me. There would be like, if I ever did it, there'd be like an orange juice ad or something at the beginning of the video and maybe something at the end. And everything in the middle I could keep ad free and I would still benefit from the additional reach. But that being said, to become a YouTube partner, they then look at your channel. They investigate your content. They go through you with a fine comb to see if you actually are politically correct enough or not to become a partner. It doesn't mean they monitor everything you do, but if you get enough complaints, they're going to come and look at you. And channels are still getting nuked on YouTube all the time. So one of the reasons I don't monetize is, I hope anyway, I'm sliding below the radar. I mean, sorry, I'm getting a warning about these dropped frames. I've been around a long time, and I've been through a lot of different phases of censorship, and I've had some issues with my channel, but I've survived, and I'm wondering if the reason I've survived is because I haven't been monetized. I'm not dying for Israeli interests. That's a good choice. Not dying in another forever war. Frank, God bless. Thank you, JD. Lord knows I need it. I'll donate some flintlocks. If only you could email those. Sorry, but your streams are kind of unwatchable due to your internet. What the heck, man? Is it really that bad? Get the RCMP out of Alberta and Saskatchewan. I would agree with that. Chopping bad. As soon as you talk charter rights, why? Why is it sucking? Apparently, Canada is now harboring IRGC members. That is nothing new. Okay, hold on. I'm going to click this notification and see if it can help me. Quick. No, it's a notification sending me to a help support window. Well, this sucks. Podcast is fine. I was ready to criticize the CPC, and you should be. You should always be criticizing, even if it's your team and the people that you identify with. A lot of buffering. So it's kind of sounding like it sucks. Joe Bobby Cat says, go pound sand. Oh, aren't you a brilliant, brilliant person, Joe Bobby? So articulate and so eloquent. Boy, did you ever show me. Can you string together a coherent, cohesive thought? Can you put together an argument in writing, or is that all you're capable of? Like keyboard warriors, virtue signaling. You don't even have any words. You don't have anything valuable to say. Can you say something, Joe? Or is go pound sand all you got? Punks. There's a lot of punks. Diane Sylvan says, I am a retired prosecutor. Definitely no rule of law. Yeah, it sucks, and it's getting worse. Let's just see here. Is there anything new from the news? A full payload. Trump confirmed strikes on Iran's nuclear site. Successfully targeted Fordo, Natanz, and Esfahan. It makes me wonder if the Iranians have any capacity for a response. We shouldn't have to wait long. But they've been getting bombed for 9 days, and Israel is definitely in control of the skies. But I have been speculating in my videos that they might be holding back just to see. IRGC statement, the war has now begun for us. Oh, they did. You're right. They did issue a correction on that that video that they posted. This isn't Fordo. It's an older strike from Syria, so that's not video of the strike. But video or not of the strike happened, and I imagine it looked very similar to that. These are huge bombs. Every American citizen or military member is a legitimate target for us. That's Iranian TV. Iraqi forces deployed around U.S. Embassy in Baghdad amid threat of retaliation. Because the other thing that happened over the weekend was the protest movement in the Arab world against the Israeli offensive is growing and gaining steam. And there's all these militias in Iraq that could also get real active. Like if you have a situation where spontaneously hundreds of thousands and millions of people across the region just decide, hey, we're going to march on American military bases and protest, or the people just won't have it, of trusting the plan or thinking that everything is assured, that plans can't go awry. It's all a show. Just sit back and enjoy it. Some of the most dangerous thinking that you can ever encounter. Frank, Iran has lots of capacity. They have been preparing for this war for 50 years. I would say they've been at least preparing for it for 30. And I think unless Israel has destroyed that capacity, there's a lot of missiles, a lot of their advanced weaponry we haven't seen. It's either been destroyed or it's being held back. And from a strategic perspective, it would make sense that if they had the arsenal, they would hold it back until the Americans committed one way or another. That they don't blow their load at the very beginning of the war. Because every time they fire a salvo of 10 or 20 missiles, Iron Dome and THAAD and David's sling goes crazy, firing off countermeasures, and depletes further the Israeli stockpile of countermeasures. So you keep doling it out day by day. You lower their stockpiles, and then later on down the road, you have the opportunity to fire a mass salvo and do a lot of damage. And Israel has been, and you can still see on social media all the different damage being done in Israel. You can read the reports coming from Israeli news altogether, and at the same time, they're just like, the Iron Dome is perfect. It's stopping 95% of the missiles, but people are dying everywhere. Property damage is mounting into the billions of shekels. So it's just, you should always reserve a little bit of reasonable doubt when assessing these things and not believe one side or the other. Like try to actually dig to get at what's really happening and what scenarios might actually go on, because I don't know what it might help you prepare, I guess, and have a little bit of peace. Stay safe, everyone, and always be aware of your surroundings. You are your own first responder. That is solid advice, especially in these times. Like, look, if there's sleeper cells in the United States, there's probably some in Canada, and you just never know. You just never know. Keep glitching and oh, this sucks. It sucks that the stream is not working. Looks like the skipping is cleared up. Looks like I spoke too soon. Can't help but think about the end of Oppenheimer when he tells Einstein that he believes he may have destroyed the world. Yep. And another, I think I was talking about this in a previous video, but just about that movie Oppenheimer and how the most powerful scene for me was the one where there's an American bomber or a British bomber flying to do a bombing run in Germany, and they see the glow of the V-2s flying overhead, those German rockets at the end of the war. And Oppenheimer putting together, at least in the movie, that you could put bombs on those warheads, nuclear bombs on those missiles, and that would be the future. And there's something so eerie about the idea of being in a bomber flying over the English Channel, seeing these V-2s, and being completely unaware that the entirety of the future was right before your eyes, leading right up to the war that we're in today with Iran, where it's all missiles, it's all ordnance, it's all air power. I mean, there's no ground war here. Will there even be a ground war? Prayers to you and your loved ones. Stay resolute. Thank you, ABNDT. Is this podcast done? Sorry, I got a call. No, we're still here. I don't know if this is an official podcast. It's more of a, I don't know, impromptu live stream. Iron Dome is lucky if it is stopping 10%. I think it's significantly higher than that, Dana, but only as long as stockpiles hold out. Israel is only prepared to conduct, like that's the thing about war, is a nation-state actor has to prepare for that war for years. Like, Hitler became Chancellor of Germany in 1933. He wasn't actually planning to go to war until 43 or 45. 39 was early because in his mind, he still wasn't ready. It takes years to build up the necessary stockpiles to engage in kinetic warfare on a national scale. So Israel, to their credit, to their strategic credit, was planning their war effort since before October 7th. So taking out Hamas, taking out Hezbollah, dealing with the Syrian problem, dealing with the ISIS problem, and now dealing with the Iranian problem. But their munitions are not unlimited, and neither are U.S. stockpiles. Now, the U.S. is just getting going, but how stretched out is the supply chain? How effective could the Houthis be in disrupting supplies going through the Red Sea? Like, I don't know the answer to that question. Is it all going to be done by transport plane, flying things into Israel? It's just a matter of how long they can hold out, and are the Iranians holding back a significant amount of their firepower? This is not the end of the world, folks. Don't let your imagination run wild. We don't know what it is. We're just plebs. I'm a pleb with a webcam, and you're a pleb with a computer monitor or TV. And we're here discussing these things, trying to figure it out because we ultimately feel powerless in the face of it all. We don't know what it is, and I firmly believe that our planners, our great national leaders, they don't know how this is going to work out either. War's like that. One of my favorite quotes is that the process of planning is something like the process of planning is invaluable, but plans themselves are worthless because plans fly out the window as soon as you start acting on them. They change in real time. The most frightening thing, this is Cindy Mosenko, the most frightening thing is the USA doesn't know who is in their country after 4 years of Biden's border. It's true. And it goes back a lot longer than that. Canada has the same problem. Cindy Melnick says, hey, Frank, watch you all the time. Look forward to what you say. Internet has been glitchy all day. Yeah. Did Trump speak? I don't think he spoke yet. I think it's coming up in like 10 minutes or something. Are we still rolling on here? Yeah, Firecracker, we are. Maybe it's just bugged out. Maybe this just sucks for everybody. There's a video from an airline pilot of an Iranian long-range missile rising. Have multiple warheads that can come down out of space at high speeds that are hard to intercept. Yeah, Iran's got those. They've got the Khomeinis, they've got cruise missiles, they've got all kinds of stuff they haven't really fired yet. Yeah, they got the best. They really do. They got hypersonics. Gum Death, destroyer of worlds. It only took them 3 years from 36 to 39, and Poland, Czechoslovakia, France had fallen while everyone talked. Yeah. Iran has thousands of hypersonics, and they have allies like Russia and China, for sure, that can deliver more supplies to them. And you won't, I mean, it's the same kind of rules of engagement that's going on in Ukraine. You're not going to see American bombs falling on Chinese transport planes. So that transport's going to get through. Unless, of course, things go right out of control. I think I'm going to kill the stream and restart it. Maybe I'll wait until after the Trump speech or something because it's sucking for everybody. I'll reboot my router and my modem and everything.